All right. Thank you, Mark.
Okay, you're welcome.
I appreciate the call. 808810. And Pete, you're next from San Jose. Good morning.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Hey, I've been enjoying listening to your show. Just wanted to point out, one thing I wanted to notice was that the things that we were seeing in Wall Street, the protests, the critics are bringing up good points, as we noticed with the leading corporations sort of manifesting the political control of the nation as we see it. And it troubles me to see, for example, the federal government coming into what has essentially been set up as, a acceptable system with allowing medical cannabis to be a part of the legal industry. It would seem to me as though we're just allowing room for the pharmaceutical industry to continue to dominate, and as if the laws are just sort of favoring a certain industry. And I know you did bring up that the cannabis industry can also be seen as a big money maker, but it's a benefit to the state, and that has been proven in many ways. And I think it would be fair to say that with what people are pointing out on Wall Street is just this would be another example of the federal government leaning towards larger corporations such as pharmaceutical growth. And that really troubles me, and I don't know what your input would be on that, but I'd like to hear that.
Well, there's no doubt that the big pharmaceutical companies are playing both sides of the medical pot issue. They, I think, are positioning long-term to dominate that industry once it becomes legal. And in the meantime, it's in their interest to keep it illegal because and here we get into motive, and I don't want to suggest that the people who run a big pharmaceutical company are sitting back saying, we've got the happy pills and we don't care whether people use them properly or off-label or recreationally. I'm not suggesting that, but the industries are so driven by money and profit that we can't be naive and assume that even those who work in the pharmaceutical industry with the aim at helping people, easing their pain or helping address or even cure an illness, we can't just assume that they're all do-gooders who have only the best interests in mind. But the bottom line here for me is the political arbitrary decision made by the Obama Justice Department to pursue a crackdown here in California after 2 years of inaction. And it's this selective prosecution where financial crimes we're not really pursuing, crimes against the national security issues related to torture, the wiretapping, the abuse of power. All these have been swept under the rug by this same Justice Department that gets really righteous about cracking down on medical pot. And I think it's important to point out that hypocrisy.
Absolutely. I can't agree with you more, and I can't agree with you more about the fact that it is an absolute waste of our resources. We do have a lot more important things to be tackling than what is being regulated with something that should not be labeled as a Substance 1 controlled drug in the first place.
You're right. It's not a Schedule 1 drug, and that's just idiocy to maintain that. And I was talking with a bright woman earlier this week on a podcast that I do, and you can find it at peterbcollins.com. But Catherine Austin Fitz makes the case that the war on drugs is working. Not the way it was intended, not to protect people from the danger, but that it's working for the cartels and it's working for the government. And when you look at it from that point of view, you have to scratch your head and say, what's the real purpose here? Who are we actually protecting? And I don't think that it's innocent children or wholesome families, unfortunately.
And that is definitely true. I think it is safe to say that we are just beginning to see whose interests are really being found. And I think it's kind of sad to say and to see, what's really happening.
Pete, thanks for your call this morning. Good to hear from you. 808810 is the number here at KGO.
Are at historical lows. But can you really trust an out-of-state mortgage company you've never actually seen with your own eyes? Why not pick a local financial